places where people would hear me, and I found myself singing along with Jimmy Martin one time, and I was thinking that this feels really comfortable. And so I started doing it more and singing with more people. Jimmy Martin stood out to me as being very fun to sing with.
In the shower?
No, not in the shower with him.
I learned to play when I was living in Montana, and I was living with a friend in the backwoods, and and he was a musician. He liked country and bluegrass. We both kind of liked that, although that wasn't all we listened to. And there was like nothing to do because we worked outdoors. It was too cold to work outdoors, so we drove to town. I went to the music store. I was either going to come back with a saxophone or a banjo. For some reason, I put those two things out. I liked both of them, and there was no way he was going to let me get a sax. So I came back with a banjo.
One thing people don't realize is how there's such virtuosity in this music that it really is deep, and there's a lot going on in a typical bluegrass band. Good bluegrass band, it's not just playing the tunes and playing rhythm and lead. There's so many levels of every instrument is ideally every musician is listening to each other. It's like a jazz band, and there's a part for every instrument, and when it's done well, it's pretty deep, and you can listen to a song 50 times and find new things in it.
I basically grew up with bluegrass and old country music, and when I was a small child, my parents used to take me to the Grand Ole Opry, which is in Nashville, and that's all that was at the Grand Ole Opry at that time was bluegrass and old country. I mean, Bill Monroe's a big name in bluegrass, and he was kind of the beginnings of the Grand Ole Opry back in the day. And so he was still alive, he'd be what, 102? So why I love bluegrass is because I was raised on it, and I kind of veered away from it when I was, a young teen and got into the heavy metal and hard rock and that kind of thing. And I just kind of came right back.
Say that you love me, please don't make me blue. With pain in my heart, blues on my mind, I'll always love you, but can you be mine? Can you be mine with another man's name? You know that I love you, but I'm not to blame.
It's a really great community. Everybody knows a lot of the same songs, and we get together and we all can play with strangers and just have the best jams because we all know the same songs. We never play with each other, but we all know the same songs. And it works out real nice when there's that kind of canon of songs that everybody knows.
Say that you love me, you will be mine.
I've played music pretty much all my life, but never really seriously and focused, and I've always wanted to, and it just, it never worked out, and I figured, well, if I were in a band, maybe we have to focus. And
Learn some songs, play them more than once.
Blues on my mind, I'll always love you, but
I discovered bluegrass when I was a teenager because there was this big festival that happened near my house called the Bean Blossom Bluegrass Festival, that was just a great introduction to all this type of music, and it went from there. And it was just, I discovered this whole world where people are sitting around jamming all night around campfires, and I think we've all discovered that.
Went to North Carolina to a place called the John Campbell Folk School for a work-study program. It was about 3 months long, I think. And one of the workshops I took while I was there was a fiddle workshop. It was a week-long fiddle workshop. And it was a great fiddle workshop. It was a great introduction. I hadn't even picked up the instrument at that point. It was totally new. I couldn't make anything come out of it except awful, awful noises. So I started to try to find people to learn from who would preferably teach by ear, more my interest rather than trying to read music and play it note for note. I was more interested in the tradition of hearing it from someone else and learning what they have to teach.
Now you just told me that you're leaving. The next train coming around. Our love so deep, think I'll follow. I just think I'll stay around.
For someday I know you want me. When your true love can't be found. But if you go, dear, I won't follow. I just think I'll stay around.
Started playing guitar in late high school, and I always liked to sing and play the guitar. So I did that at campfires and things like that, camping out, and probably did that for 20 years, something like that. And then I always liked to sing a little bit. I always liked to sing with people, especially. I thought that was really fun. It made it sound good. And then I decided to. There was a lot of guitar players out there, so I went to some bluegrass festivals, and I saw this instrument, the mandolin, and really fell in love with it. And realized there's not a lot of mandolin players out there, a lot of guitar players, and I could play in the same way I can sing with people and harmonize. I could also play that and kind of fit in and add something. The mandolin is pretty cool because it's pretty rhythmic, and I really like being able to be rhythmic and kind of do that kind of drive. It also is the offbeat, which is kind of neat. That's kind of a unique thing about it. And because it's strung the same way as the fiddle, it's an entry into old tunes, so old Irish tunes, Celtic tunes, and it's really kind of a cool gateway into the past that I didn't have growing up. So I'm still trying to figure out how to play it.
One day I'll hear the whistle blowing on the special coming around. You'll be looking for me, baby, but I may not be around.
For someday I know you want me.
Harmonies really are addictive, and I don't really know why. It just feels really good to kind of have your voices connect with other people and lock in together, and yeah, like you said, kind of blend into one. It's sort of, you can't decipher them from each other, and it's pretty amazing.
It sounds good, it feels good, and if you're close enough, we like to sing when we're close to get actually physically close to each other, and if we do it right, you can actually feel the chord that happens from those three notes, and you feel like a vibration or a ring, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun.
Your love can't be found.